Happy Tuesday. So, good grief. I haven't even gotten a room good and I'm already getting the messages. What's up, y'all? I'm going to give everybody just a few minutes. Gonna give everybody just a few minutes to come in the room. So, hopefully everybody is having a good Tuesday. And make sure y'all let me know that y'all can see and hear me. Hey, Cajun. Hey, to Brooke Kedron. Hey, Last Dragon. All right, y'all. So I'm just going to give people a few minutes. Okay, y'all can see me. Cool. So hopefully everybody is doing well, having a good Tuesday. Hopefully if y'all saw the recent video that I did, this was last week about Dave Chappelle. Hey Lavon, hey Humble Servant, hey Abdul. Y'all, when y'all get a chance, go back and look at that video, and I really just want y'all to go read some of the comments that I got on that video. And as you're reading the comments, hey Angie, as you're reading the comments, I want y'all to realize that these are the people that vote. These are the people that vote. These are the people that lead the mainstream discussions. These are the people that get things trending. That's just, I don't know, that's still fascinating to me. So when I originally did the follow-up video, I think the video about the Dave Chappelle thing at that time maybe had like 2,000 views, if I remember correctly, maybe. Now it has like 11,000. And so I'm like, wow. So to see that in real time, how people just take titles and headlines and buzzwords and run with it, and to know that there are actually people out here living their lives based off headlines and trigger words and buzzwords. Like, this is a real thing, and to me that's scary, and it really helped me just see this thing in a whole different light. Hey Helena, hey Edward. But I'm like, man, this is crazy. But yes, it's the same thing everywhere. And that's the point. That's the point that I was trying to prove. Just imagine, right? Like, the current model for the news media is basically these politicians and the news media basically feel like we are so, we're so either dumb or so busy that it's like, oh, they don't have time to understand issues or care about issues. So let's take it upon ourselves to tell them how to feel, or we'll drop these couple of words to make them feel something because we know they're going to run with it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. It's just crazy. But hopefully everybody is doing good. I'm probably don't plan to be on here like too long, but I had a couple of things that I wanted to say about what's been going on in the media lately or whatever. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hey Latoria, let's get into it and we'll talk about it and go from there. Like, one thing y'all gonna learn about me, and people that have people that's been following me for a while know this, but y'all cannot just look at titles and look at the topic and try to put people in a box, or try to say, well, they're gonna say this, or it's a black and white issue, and oftentimes it's just not like that. And so I feel like people have to be open-minded to not just hearing, but listening, digesting information, taking it in, and then conceptualizing it, rationalizing your own thoughts about it, not just taking these couple of words and just running with it. And that's something that we have to like constantly, I don't know if that's something that most people have to, practice. I know that the media has kind of tried to um push us that way, where it's like, bam, we just respond, or we just do, or we just react without really digesting information. But hey, Mr. Authentication, hey, Johnny. But all right, so let me show y'all this article that I came across. Oh, okay. That I came across the other night. All right, so y'all should be able to see this. Okay, so this is by Sandra Rose. SandraRose.com. All right, study why women prefer bisexual men. Okay, this is the study. You see the picture of Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade on the article. But anyway, so we're just going to read a little bit of this. Women, dating or marrying a bisexual man used to be taboo, but thanks to the hard work of LGBT activists and their allies, times have changed. A 2016 survey by Glamour magazine found that almost 2/3 of women wouldn't date a man who had sex with another man. Socialite Amber Rose, who is bisexual herself, once said she would have a problem dating a bisexual man. Personally, no judgment. I wouldn't be comfortable, she said during a Facebook Q&A. I just want to be comfortable with it, and I don't know why. But recent studies show women are increasingly warming up to the idea of dating bisexual men. Researchers in Australia interviewed 79 women in relationships with bisexual men. The researchers found that bisexual men were better in bed and more caring long-term partners and fathers. The women who took part in the Australian study said they could not go back to dating straight men after being with bisexual men. According to these women, straight men carry more emotional and misogynistic baggage. Right, because, oh my God, I don't even want to say what I was about to say. According to the women, straight men carry more emotional and misogynistic baggage. So to me, this is saying men that take penises are less likely to be misogynistic. Like, that's what I'm getting from this. These reasons were varied. The researchers found that bi men were open to experimenting in bed, whereas straight men were most likely to question their own masculinity if a woman asked them to engage in less heteronormative sexual acts, such as anal penetration by their women partners. Their partners had to question their masculinity and sexuality. Dr. Maria, okay? Because of this, bisexual men were far more sensitive and desired to establish an equitable relationship. They were far more respectful. They were keen fathers and wanted to set up equitable gender relationships in the home. So this just goes on to talk about this. And I will be sure to link this article below if y'all just want to read the entire article. But first of all, let's start with the fact that they post this picture of Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, which by reading the article, I cannot specify or align this article to their particular relationship. We all know that Dwayne Wade and a lot of these NBA players, particularly, have been dressing, I don't know, you might call it effeminate, questionable, more woman-like, jazzy. I don't know, however you might want to classify it. But nonetheless, Dwayne Wade has never come out to self-identify as a bisexual man. Yet we know he has a child that's LGBT. But we can clearly see something happening with the media and the fact that Black men are becoming the face of this movement and what's happening. When we're having these discussions, they oftentimes center around Black men. Which I think is odd. And I'm gonna tell you guys more why I think it's odd. But you see, I can't even remember this guy's name. I don't know this guy's name. I can't even think right now. But he's a rapper. And this is the guy, he wears like dresses and stuff like this, right? So the person that wrote this article, I would assume, because I want to show y'all, when people say it's an agenda, people get offended. But you shouldn't get offended, because I feel like if you're paying attention, it is undeniable. And I'm going to talk about this more in this video. But what I mean by this is, right, when men first started dressing more feminine, or whatever you would call it, non-genderless clothing, people were saying, oh, the clothing doesn't matter. Clothing has nothing to do with sexuality, right? That's what everybody was saying. That was a main talking point. But now you have an author combining this study with men who have not come out to admit they are bisexual, yet we know they dress very feminine. Like, do y'all get the point that I'm trying to make? So this is another example of the needle being pushed further and further, right? Because we started here, oh no, they just like it. They just like the clothing. The clothing is comfortable, it's cool, it's cute. The clothing doesn't make him less of a man, but now you're using those same images to tie it. At first it was like, oh, the clothing has nothing to do with their sexuality. And now you are literally combining this with studies to attach it to just that, sexuality. So, Young Thug, that's his name. Thank y'all. So, this is what I be talking about when I talk about like being forward thinking and seeing things coming down the pipeline, because I feel like that was a soft way to introduce where they're taking us to now. Like, oh, well, you know what I mean? More women are starting to like bisexual men because, of course, being with a man tends to make a man less misogynistic and more like, oh my God. I didn't say, oh, okay. He said Young Thug said he wasn't gay. So like, that's my thing. If you have these artists coming out saying they aren't gay, you know what I mean? And I'm not here to debate anybody's sexuality. I really personally, on a personal level, I don't care. But the media is over sexualizing Black men, like, and it's so obvious. And I've told y'all, you put Black people as the face of any movement, anything, it's supposed to be some type of, subconscious way to add validity to it, right? Because I mean, of course, a gay black man is like double the struggle, so it must be more, that much more dire and that much more important or whatever. And then even the face of the trans movement is in essence still a black man. Like, okay, anyway, so y'all know BT had the Black Girls Rock the other day. Pole star and Angelica Ross calls out BT for excluding trans women from Black Girls Rock. During the annual telecast, which was hosted by Niecy Nash, blah, 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 Angelica Ross noticed that out of all the women honored during the show, Black trans women didn't even get an acknowledgement, considering that the number of Black trans women killed this year has reached 18 as of last week, and in very brutal ways. It's a certainly a major issue that she felt deserved recognition, at least in the memorial segment of the show. Black trans girls rock, she wrote. I'm willing to bet that no trans women were invited or highlighted at Black Girls Rock. Is it 18 now? 18 Black trans women have been killed this year, but no mention during a segment dedicated to the lives lost. While it's unclear whether or not trans women were invited to the event, with shows like Pose, a series filled with and put together by Black trans women, getting recognition from mainstream award shows like Golden Globes and the Emmys, it's interesting that the big names from that show, India Moore or other well-known Black trans women in general, Laverne Cox, aren't getting much love from Black Girls Rock. There were people who responded to Angelica's feelings about the exclusion with a lot of negativity, but there were also a number of people who stood in support of the idea of BET's annual event being more inclusive. So if you were to go, search this when it was being talked about on Twitter, you have a lot of people, BET, Black Girls Rock, where are the trans women and things like this. And honestly, I just find it odd. I find it odd and interesting that feminists or progressives have tried to be so progressive that they are invading their own spaces with people who have, trans woman, whatever, okay? This person has still at some point had this male experience and now is being pushed into spaces that were literally created for women to be able to share and tell their stories and be celebrated. And it's like the progressiveness is going so far until the wires are freaking crossing. Okay, I talked about this in the Dave Chappelle video that I did, because that author, right, was going off talking about, Dave Chappelle is talking about his problems. You know what I mean? Dave Chappelle is talking about his problems, but he's rich. He's too rich to have problems. He should basically just shut up about his problems and do his job. This was basically their sentiment. Why? Because you're trying to be so progressive on LGBT issues that you're basically still telling a Black man to shut up, do what we hired you to do the way we want you to do it. But when it was people telling LeBron James the same thing, because it was LeBron James and it was LeBron James versus, or you know, along with the Black Lives Matter thing, I think that's what it was, but it was something dealing with Black people, then it's offensive. You know what I mean? It's offensive, right? But then when you have two groups, the Black man kind of drops to the bottom, and now it's like, I'm progressive, but now you need to shut up because you're talking too much and you're offending LGBT people. No, like, you have to be consistent. It has to just make sense. Thank you, Valdez. But they're going so far until they are literally contradicting themselves. And this is the point that we have to this is the point that we have to get to, y'all. And this is what I'm trying to get people to see, is that this is not a discussion against LGBT people. This is a discussion about how the media will use real movements, will use real people's issues and real people's lives to push agendas or to basically change the direction of the discussion. They've done this with Black people as well. They do it with Black people constantly. You know what I mean? They will create non-freaking issues and they will put Black people on the face of it, like, oh, Black people are mad about this. And I'm like, who the heck have y'all seen talking about this? Like, they made a whole article about Black people see white robots as racist. Like, what the heck? So a couple of years ago, when Will Smith did a freaking movie with robots, nobody said nothing, nobody cared. But now all of a sudden, all Black people think white robots are racist. Like, I mean, just make it make sense. So you're starting discussions that don't, like, these are non-existent, non-freaking factors. You know what I mean? And I personally believe that people should have their own spaces. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I know some people find it offensive. I don't really care. That is my opinion. This is why I'm a big supporter. I don't want to say, you know, of BET. I'm a big supporter of the original intent and what it was supposed to be, of Black people having their own space to talk about their own stories and celebrate themselves, so they don't have to beg other people to do it, and begging for inclusiveness. To me, that's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? It was Malcolm X that said, like, the white man's ice is not colder. Like, it's not. Do your own thing. And I feel like the same thing for trans people. Like, if you feel like you're not being celebrated, you know what I mean? Do your own thing. That show, drag show or something that comes on TV. I think I was reading some article about it not long ago, but it seems to be like super duper freaking like a successful show. So this idea of people just pushing themselves and forcing themselves on people, I just never got that. Like, I'm the type of person. So let me tell y'all. So a couple of weeks ago, y'all probably saw this. Like, maybe this was last week, but right in Mississippi, there was this interracial couple trying to get married, and this white woman was like, no, it's against our beliefs, this and the other, you know, we just don't do it. And I think the lady was trying to question her, like, what type of Bible you reading or something. I can't remember the exact discussion, but basically trying to talk the lady into marrying them. And I'm like, I wasn't, like, a lot of people, the video was going viral. People were mad about that. Like, let's put this place out of business, this and the other. I wasn't offended by that. Like, I'm sorry, but if those are your intentions, if that's how you feel, don't marry me. And thank you for not letting me spend my money at this establishment. I will happily leave. Like, I will go. I'm not the type of person, if you don't want my money, if you don't want my business, please, I'll be happy. Like, I'm happy. not to spend my money with people. You know, that's just me. If you don't want me here, so for some people, you know, I guess some things that people just get offended about, I just don't. Like, to me, you say you did me a favor. You know what I mean? You save me time, save me money. You know, I'm going to go where I'm celebrated, not tolerated. And I've just always been that person. Like, if you don't want my business, like, but Two Bit, Two Bit said, tell that to Rosa Parks. And see, believe it or not, and I know some people don't want to hear this. But I feel like that whole thing, I mean, you know, like, I just, you know, I'm just the type of person. Look, I'm gonna tell you. Some people got that whole Martin Luther King thing going on, or whatever, and some people just Malcolm X with it. Like, I'm not begging nobody to take my money, period. This why y'all be crying over people like Gucci in 2019, crying about what Nike doing. Who gives a crap? Like, who cares? It's bigger issues to worry about. It's bigger issues to worry about. Like, I feel like that whole thing was done wrong. And I hate, thank you, Stephen Scott. I hate when people, you know, because people act like only people on the left have talking points. Nah, people on the right have talking points too. Because you'll hear people like this say, oh, y'all need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You need to do this, you need to do that. But then when people be like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go over here and support this business in my community. I'm going to go over here and watch this TV show that celebrates me. Then people want to be offended. No, keep that same energy. Be consistent. You know what I mean? Like, that just makes sense. So, I don't know, man. Like, you gotta support. You have to support the stuff that you want to see, that you feel like represents you positively. And when they don't, I'm the type of person, like, I'm not begging nobody for nothing. And I've said this 100 times anyway. TV is entertainment, and we have to let these kids know that it is purely only entertainment, and honestly straight up propaganda, if we're going to be real. It's propaganda. Like, they're always trying to push something. It's always an idea, you know, it's always some type of idea, agenda, you know, product, some type of social something. But social engineering is happening in real time. That's why I told y'all how 2 years ago you was just telling us clothing had nothing to do with sexuality, but now in 2019 you're doing a whole study and you're linking how men look. Dwayne Wade and Young Thug, you're linking their clothes to their sexuality. Like, make it make sense. And this is the stuff I just want people to pay attention to. You know what I mean? That's it. But the thing is, they've gone like, okay, everything is about sexuality now. Are y'all noticing this? Sexuality is such a big part of the discussions. I remember on, like, years ago on shows, I want to say this was like on I Love Lucy or something, but a lot of those older shows, y'all remember when couples used to actually like have to sleep in different beds on TV? Well, now sexuality is dominating conversations. Why? Why? Why is sexuality such a huge force of everything that's being done now and talked about now, even down to the education that they're giving our children in these schools? Where these parents, they're trying to make it in California where the parents can't even opt out of certain things that could be, said to their children. They're making books and stuff for children to be talking about sexuality and gender. They don't even know their favorite color yet at 2 and 3 and 4. Everything has become about sexuality. It's in every discussion now. It's dominating every discussion. I want to know why. Let me show y'all this article that CNN posted. Y'all cannot ignore this, man. I don't care what you say. Like, look at this. You can't make this stuff up. It seems like straight parody. This is a real tweet from CNN today. A same-sex penguin couple will raise an adopted genderless chick for the first time, man. You can't, man. Okay, let me. A London aquarium has announced the 4-month-old Gen 2 penguin chick will not be named or characterized as male or female. Sea Life London said. Don't tell me they not pushing sexuality. Don't tell. Y'all. They want you to think about sex so much. Sexuality so much. They are basing people's whole personality off their sexuality, that they want you to think about freaking genderless penguins. Don't tell me this don't have a gender written all over it. Don't tell me that. Genderless penguins. This is a real article. A same-sex penguin couple will raise an adopted genderless chick for the first time. The 4-month-old Gen 2 penguin chick will not be named or characterized as male or female. The chick is being raised by 2 female penguins, Rocky and Marama, who were given the egg to relieve the penguin's birth mother of the pressure of raising 2 chicks. It will be the world's first penguin to not have its gender assigned. Y'all, I don't know if I'm laughing or crying. I don't know. Experts at the aquarium usually give newborn penguins gender-based names, but in this case decided it was more natural for the chick to grow and develop. To grow and develop into a mature adult as a genderless, which is normal in the wild until they mature. While the decision may ruffle a few feathers, Gender neutrality in humans has only recently become a widespread topic of conversation. However, it is completely natural for penguins to develop genderless identities as they grow into mature adults. Y'all, we are having a discussion about the gender of penguins right now. This is CNN.com. You cannot tell me they are not trying to push sexuality. You cannot. When I say agenda, this is not to be offensive to people in the LGBT community, but you have to see what's going on. I am Black, and I can clearly see as bright as day when Black women are being used to push certain foolish, degenerate, unacceptable agendas. I can see it and I can admit it. That doesn't make me any less of a person, and that's not offensive to me because somebody points it out. It's the truth. It's the truth. We are talking about genderless penguins here. This is a real thing. These people are so sex craved. Everything is about sex, sexuality, gender. This is dominating the discussions now. Why? You have to ask yourself why. This is not a mistake. Don't try to force yourself into believing that it is, because it's not. Nothing is by mistake with these people. We have to know that. We have to know that. Nothing is by mistake with these people. Nothing. I literally mean nothing. Now, if we're going to talk about it, because people may say, well, Rhonda, gay people exist. You know, trans people exist. It's a thing. I understand. But let's think about this, right? I just told y'all how sexuality and gender is dominating the conversations. It's everywhere now. You can't run from it, okay? It's in the freaking children's textbooks. Everybody's on their job doing these classes and courses of inclusiveness where gender is a forefront topic in all these. But anyway, statistically, it's illogical. The level of conversations that we're having about sexuality and gender does not match what's happening in real life, which lets you know why is this being pushed so hard. The demographics of sexual orientation and gender identity in the United States have been studied in the social sciences in recent decades. A 2017 Gallup poll concluded that 4.5% of adult Americans identify as LGBT. 4.5%. With 5.1% of the women identifying as LGBT compared with 3.9% of men. A different survey in 2016 from the Williams Institute estimated that 0.6% of U.S. adults identify as transgender. 0.6%. Yet, transgenderism is one of the biggest hot button topics in our media right now. Still, statistically, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Which brings you to the question, why? If 4.5% of Americans are LGBT and 0.6% are transgender, how many of them do you think are Black men? We're talking about a minuscule number. We're talking about small numbers here. I'm just thinking statistics. I'm just weighing things. When we talk about, how impactful things really are as far as dominating national conversations, like everywhere you turn, CNN, Vice News, BET. They had a something on Oprah Winfrey Network not long ago. What was the name of the thing? Black Women Talking or something. And the trans issue been a big part of that. Like, and I'm in no way not saying to not have these discussions, but y'all have to see that sexuality and the whole topic around these far, far, far outweighs the number of people dealing with transgender issues. So how is this dominating so many discussions? I don't know. I'm just the type of person that kind of like weigh the whole statistics thing. It's kind of like when they were doing this whole, thank you, Valdis. Valdis said there's also this push on the part of mainstream media and the entertainment industry to feminize the black males. Absolutely. And I'm about to talk about that in a second too. But I was that whole, do y'all remember the Oscar So White thing? Oscar So White, and everybody was boycotting the Oscars because there weren't enough black people, being involved in the Oscars or nominated or something like this. And I just remember thinking at that time, I can't even remember how long ago this was. It seems like maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong or not. But Oscar So White. And, at first, I kind of just look and observe. I don't really just jump on bandwagons and stuff like that. I'm not really that type of person. But I was just kind of looking and thinking, do I think more, black people should be recognized at the Oscars? And I was thinking, well, I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure really how many are recognized now. But then I started thinking about, because this discussion started about more black people just being on TV in general. And then so I started thinking, I was like, dang, black people like 12% of the population. Black people like 12% of the population. And then I just started thinking about all the TV that I watch. And I don't watch that much TV, but I'm just saying in general. All the shows I can think of that got hella black people on it. And I know people are going to find this offensive, but I'm literally just talking about just statistically, right? We always talk about representation, right? But if we did a true representation of black people across television, we would be about 12%. I don't know. And I started thinking, and I was just like, do people ever really think about that? Or they just think about the emotional side? Like, you know what? Representation. I mean, representation. Like me just looking, I've always said, man, I want to see more like normal, just regular Indian families, Asian families, like brown Hispanic families. Like when we start thinking about people who are like, if we talking about representation, like, I mean, if we being real about it, you have so many groups of people who are not represented. So why do black people always end up being the face of these like inclusiveness and like, you know what I mean? Is it really about that? Or is it really the fact that you can put Black people face to validate anything? Like, that's the face you have to put to make a struggle real. You know what I mean? Like, do that make sense what the point I'm trying to make to y'all? Please let me know, man. Please let me know. Cause I just sit back and think, man, when you really think about it, like 12% of the American population, like that's not big. That's like a small percent. And I think it's steadily decreasing. So Electric B said folks are gonna do what makes money even with Black representation. It's going to be portrayed certain ways. And then it's like, then when people do represent you, you don't like the way it's done. So, I don't know. I just can't get into the whole TV representation, inclusive thing. I guess, first of all, because I know it's BS anyway. I know it's propaganda. I know it be a lot of agendas. And then another thing I was talking about, how this progressiveness cross wires, right? Because you pro this and pro that and pro this until your proness becomes anti of this. But anyway, y'all, this is so crazy. The crazier part about it is the Black people that jump on this bandwagon of the whole sexuality and sexual fluidness and the slut walk and Black men being the face of homosexuality and transgenderism. They don't even realize, man, this is how crazy this is. They don't even realizing that they are promoting and upholding the stereotype that Black people are hypersexual. Like, I cannot make this stuff up. It is a well-known fact. It is a well-known fact that oftentimes in media, how Black people were portrayed. If you think about the effects or the history of slavery, buck breaking, you know what I mean? Women being raped on slave plantations. Black people, you think about the stereotype of all Black men being well endowed, right? All these stereotypes that we say we hated that are not true. But now we are allowing sexuality to take the forefront of all of our conversations. So we went from being against something like, this is crazy, man. We are so progressive that we own our own stereotypes. This makes no sense. It makes no sense, y'all. You cannot talk about how Black people have been seen as sexualized, sex deprived, rapist, hypersexual, all these things. They try to align, the slut walk with like hip hop culture and things like this. And then, but you turn around and uphold the talks of sexuality as like this new hip thing. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Why is sexuality being pushed so hard to the forefront of these conversations? It makes no sense. And you cannot turn around and talk about, like it's the same thing, for example, same exact thing. I talked about this on Instagram a couple of days ago. Y'all remember a couple of years ago when Mary J. Blige came out with the little Burger King commercial and was singing about the chicken? And people went ham. People went crazy. Oh, this is so offensive. It's so demeaning. This is racist. This is stereotypical. And hell, a couple of years later, y'all go buy all the chicken sandwich at Popeyes. So you literally, like the media just knows. I feel like the media just really knows how to make a fool out of us. Like whatever we say, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like it's some kind of mind control trickery going on where it's somebody sitting behind the scenes and they just be pulling little puppet strings because they can make us say one thing, like, and then 2-3 years later, we on something totally different. Like, y'all made my good sis, Mary J, lose her coins because she couldn't sing about chicken because y'all said it was racist. And now you go and buy out all the chicken. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with this. Black people don't want to be over sexualized or hypersexualized. Now you're doing it yourself. People were so Black Lives Matter, a couple of years ago. Now you pushing Kamala Harris as your top candidate. You know what I mean? People were so, no NFL for me. Now Jay-Z coming there. Let me give y'all a couple of t-shirts and a concert. Now everybody, well, maybe, he got some up his sleeve. It's deeper than y'all think. Jay-Z smarter than y'all think. Man, boy, I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. Happening in real time every single time. This is why I say, man, pick what the heck you care about. Pick what you feel and be that. And be it consistent. And I'm not saying people don't change, but the media be having us out here looking crazy like y'all don't stand for nothing. Y'all ain't about what y'all be talking about. It's like however we want them to feel today, now all of a sudden they're gonna feel it. And so I'm like, man, it's just whatever be trending, man. And it's I feel like it's two reasons. It's two reasons. It's two reasons why they doing this. Well, two reasons that I can just think of off the top of my head. I'm sure that I could think of more if I really just thought about it. But the two reasons, first of all, dang, I just lost my thought. What were the two reasons? One of them was masculinity in general, right? Like, masculinity in general. When you think about just Black men and like I don't want to say average, but when you just think about, for example, like athletics, and like the physique, the strength, the dominance. Man, I was on Instagram today and I seen this little boy, y'all, tumbling and jumping around, like doing some crazy like gymnastic stuff. And he's like in the middle of the street, like just doing this stuff, like crazy black backflips and stuff like this. And I'm like, man, if Black boys would get into gymnastics, they would straight freaking dominate. You know what I mean? Straight dominate. But literally like that physical presence, right? And think about it, like even when you had these police that say, oh well, I fear for my life, right? Like that's the thing to say, I fear for my life, right? Because of that presence, I don't know, and that aura and that physicality or whatever, and this masculine energy. But if the Black man is the epitome, or the Because oftentimes when you think about these things and you think about the physical and the masculine energy, and like I said, athleticism, we think about people like Usain Bolt and LeBron James and what's the guy that does the boxing? Money Mayweather and all of these different people, right? And so if you make the black man the face of this, because I already told y'all statistically it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's not logical for the black man to be the face of this. It's not. Statistically, it doesn't make sense, right? And so if you do this, it kind of subdues or competes with that image. And then I don't even want to get into the fact of, I don't even want to get into the whole thing with like the family structure and things like this. There are freaking statistics that show that a young boy with masculine influences is known to do better in life, right? He's less likely to go to jail, more likely to be successful, more likely to finish high school and things like this. And a whole plethora of statistics, but somehow the media likes to make you forget that or completely ignore that. And I've seen that firsthand. I've seen that personally, seeing how young black boys having male mentorship can literally change the freaking trajectory of their life, And I think that was the other thing I was going to say. Also reinforcing this stereotype that like black men are super like hypersexual, even in trans form, right? Their sexuality has to be their entire being and livelihood, and the only thing they can, talk about and things like this. Oh my God, it just doesn't make sense. But let me show y'all this other one article that that I want to talk about. But even if you think about it, like even if you think about all the people who are dominating the media, like right now I have the cover of this video is Malik Yoruba. I guess that's how you say his name. But if you think about all the people leading these conversations or dominating the media for these conversations, they're black men. Like, but let me show y'all these. And it's crazy because these are the things that don't get talked about. So this is by Reuters. And no gay gene, but study finds genetic links to sexual behavior. A large scientific study into the biological basis of sexual behavior has confirmed there is no single gay gene, but that a complex mix of genetics and environment affects whether a person has some same-sex sexual partners. The research, which analyzed data on DNA and sexual experiences from almost 500,000 people, found there are thousands of genetic variants linked to same sexual behavior, most with very small effects. 5 of the genetic markers were significantly associated with same-sex behavior, the researchers said, but even these are far from being predictive of a person's sexual preferences. When scanned the entire human genome and found a handful, 5 to be precise, of locations that are clearly associated with whether a person reports and engaging in same sexual behavior. He said that these have a very small effect and combined explain considerably less than 1% of the variance in the self-reported same-sexual behavior. This means that non-genetic factors such as environment, upbringing, personality, nurture are far, is that supposed to be nature? Are far more significant influencing a person's choice of sexual partner, just as with most other personality behavior and physical human traits, the researcher said. Let me read this sentence one more time, and then we'll talk about it. This means that non-genetic factors such as environment, upbringing, personality, and nature are far more significant in influencing a person's choices for sexual partner, just as with most other personality, behavior, and physical human traits. Now, I think it's odd in 2019 that we need a study to tell us that. Now, I just read that a little bit of that study to y'all, but I just read a little bit of that study to y'all, but to me, it just seems like common sense. And this is why I will say why. LGBT people, like, y'all know me. I'm the type of person, it's your life. You have to live it. Do what you want. It's not my life. It's not up to me. And I feel like, shoot, this the only life I have lived or remember consciously living. So I'm not gonna let nobody tell me how to live mine. So, so people have to do what make them happy at the end of the day. And I have friends that are LGBT, but let me say this. Some things just make sense. I know that, or I can imagine that for some people, those feelings are, I don't want to say like inseparable. That's not the word I'm looking for, or whatever. But to deny that part of this is not influenced by like environment, nature, upbringing, stuff like that, to me it's woefully like just ignorant, for lack of better words. And why I say that is because we can fully accept, understand, and comprehend how an abusive parent can affect sexuality. We can understand how kidnapping or kidnapping or something like that, or this what is it called? What is some type of syndrome? Y'all know when you like end up like loving a person that like kidnaps you or something like that. Okay, I'm gonna think of it in a second. But we can fully accept that, right? And how that shapes the brain, right? We can fully understand and comprehend how a child having sex at an early age can influence and shape their sexuality. We can understand and comprehend how even certain relationships, certain dynamics, family dynamics, right? Because oftentimes we know, for example, a girl not maybe having her father in her life may impact how she perceives love or romanticism or her dating patterns. So we can fully accept all of these things, but for some reason we can't understand that when it comes to this. And Stockholm syndrome, that's what it was. Thank you, Pilu. But you literally have people's minds and sexualities being able to be influenced by things that happen to them, their relationships, things they've been through. Sometimes it could be trauma, or sometimes it could just be the effects of the environment. So why is that hard, like, for people to say, or admit. You know what I mean? I don't see why that would be offensive. I don't see why that would be offensive. If you could go to like a psychologist and a therapist and they can say, well, the reason you, and I'm just saying something to do an example, but they could say, oh, well, the reason why, imagine two people in like a couple's therapy or something, and they say, well, the reason why your wife tends to lock up or to block you out is because, she has this thing that people are gonna leave her, right? Because her dad left her when she was 5, and now she has this fear, this subconscious fear that you're gonna walk out of her life or something like that. So we can totally understand and accept and comprehend how these things affect sexuality, but for some reason we really think like LGBT people are unscathed from experiencing things that affect their sexuality. Like only straight people experience things that affect their sexuality. Like it just doesn't make sense. It literally makes no sense. So to act like, there aren't things that can like rewire people's brain or affect them. Am I saying that's 100% of the case? No, that's not what I'm saying. But for people to try to make that absent of the conversation, try to reduce it like it's not a possibility, to me is just really annoying, and it makes me not trust people that had these discussions, because I feel like if you're going to have these discussions, you should talk about them from every aspect or whatever. And I actually had my best friend in this was when I was really young. I was probably like in middle school. And we were like so cool. We were so cool. And we used to like hang out and play basketball. And we went to the same church. And like I'd go over her house to like hang out and stuff like that. And we were really cool. She a great girl. And ended up finding out that her uncle was like raping her. And like, I didn't find this out till like years later. And as a child, like sometimes you can't fully comprehend, like everything that's going on around you and kind of like why things are happening the way they are. But I literally saw right in front of my eyes her change as a person, like literally from her demeanor to, her sexual preferences to the way she would dress, to how she would carry herself and things like this. And I've seen that happen. And I know for a fact that is not everybody's story. I know this, okay? But I know that is a story. It is a story. It happens. And it's just annoying to me that people try to like fully push things like that out of the conversation. You know what I mean? And so that's why I feel like, these things should be talked about honestly and holistically. And then even I've seen working with kids, I've saw, particularly this little girl who was raped and molested when she was younger by a family member. And then after that, like she just like, and I'm talking about a young girl, and she just, I don't even know like the words I'm trying to put it in. But she became so promiscuous. I don't know if that's probably what I'm trying to say. But she said she became so promiscuous, and it was like she could not turn it off. You know what I mean? She could not turn it off. Like, And that's like very hurtful and very sad and very it's just very, very, very extremely unfortunate, man. But I feel like a lot of times with this whole movement, because I feel like maybe I've just seen a lot of bad stuff on the back end, working personally with people who are trying to like overcome sex addictions, like trying to forgive people and heal from things, that are trying to like work through certain things. I just feel like we don't have holistic talks about sexuality. And when you see these things in the media, it's sexual freedom. Sexual freedom. I literally saw, y'all, I am not joking. I saw a girl that I follow on Instagram go from, this is no lie and like no shade to her, but I'm just saying these discussions be so one-sided, because I saw this girl attend the she went to like the Amber Rose slut walk like a couple years ago, and literally like 2 years later she's online talking about Jesus saved me from like a herpes scare. Well, I'm very thankful. No, she said Jesus healed her from herpes. This is what she said. And you know, I feel like the only thing that's being talked about in the media right now is like sexual freedom and sexuality and fluidity and all these things. And okay, I mean, whatever. But what makes me feel like it's an agenda is because the holistic version of these discussions, personal responsibility, the emotional, mental, and physical ramifications of these decisions are not being talked about at all. They haven't been talked about at all. And so, to me, like, I don't know, man. So we have to talk about these things. And I mean, if we're going to talk about them, they just need to be more full discussions instead of just this one-sided, whoopsie daisy, I'm just going to do and be whoever, and people really not looking at the ramifications of their decisions. And I guess I've just seen so many people have bad outcomes from all this, like, and then I already told y'all like how in these schools they're trying to push these topics of pederasty and really like talk about like all these different sexual whatever and non-gender this and non-gender that, and teaching it to these young children. And I'm like, first of all, the parents need to be involved and decide if there's something that they even want. And then, in my opinion, just working with children, even if the parents decide that, okay, fine, I'm cool with my kids being talked to about that, then these should be way more holistic conversations that talk about every angle of what people are experiencing. And we're not seeing it in the media. And so I don't know. I just think particularly for me as a Black woman, because I've seen how the media represents Black women, how sometimes the media hypersexualizes Black women. I don't feel like my sexuality needs to be the forefront of any movement or TV show or anything. That's just me, because like, why would I want that if I feel like it's already this stereotype of me, being overly sexualized anyway? To me, I don't know. It's just not consistent. It's just very inconsistent. And so I feel like the media tends to do that. So But so y'all will continue probably to see this happen. I talked about, first of all, how if you want to validate anything, you put Black people as a forefront of it, and then also Black people just in the media anyway tend to get trends going and stuff really being talked about. Like if you want something to be talked about, get Black people to talk about it. So I feel like, you know, that's what's happening or whatever. So but I just had to come on here and talk about this. Adrenaline Man said in Italy, sex is so open and not dirty. We're kind of prudes here. We're very sexually irresponsible. So I haven't just looked at Italy in particular, but I haven't looked at Italy in particular, but I do know that in the UK, there's a lot of things that's going on as far as like I told you on Vice News, I was watching this thing about how people there like raising their kids like genderless and stuff like that, and how it's becoming a bigger thing and stuff. But and then I saw 2Bit said there's a stereotype of Black people being homophobic. I think that's so funny that you say that, because first of all, what does that even mean? I feel like homophobic is a subjective word, but if you want to talk about a group of people being homophobic, you definitely can't include Black women in that. Black women actually have been and are super inclusive and accepting of LGBT people, particularly Black men, from what I've seen. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know where you're getting it from. But I do need to do some more studying on ancient Rome too. I've been seeing people like talk about that and kind of comparing it and talking about like the fall of the Roman Empire and stuff like that. So I definitely want to look into that. But all right, y'all. So Tanner said, I don't think we are homophobic. We just don't agree with it. It's not for all of us, not for all us. And this is my thing. This is my thing about that as well. One thing I don't believe in, I don't believe in forcing nobody to live something that they do not feel in them. I do not believe in that. I believe that if you do that, you're causing more problems than need be. You know what I mean? I feel like do not force bisexual men on to Black women and their families, or gay men. Like, don't do that, because no woman wants to wake up 20 years later, y'all got 4 kids, and my husband is like, oh yeah, well, I've been trans attracted since I was 15 years old. No, heck no. So that's part of why I feel like, you know, some Black women are like, okay, cool, you coming out? All right, bam, you know, whatever. It's your life. Okay, cool. You know, you're still a cool person, whatever the case may be. But the problem comes in when you forcing, like you doing whole articles telling, oh, more Black women Black women are so desperate for men these days that they are marrying up all these bisexual men because bisexual men are less misogynistic and more emotional for them and less likely to have gender roles. So the black woman can halfway wear the pants and you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like all the BS behind it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. And then trying to put it in the schools and teach the kids this and like, exactly, like Bruce Jenner. Like, am I really supposed to believe you didn't know this until you were like in your 60s and you have all these kids, and think about what that does not only to that person, you know what I'm saying? That hurts the trans person. It hurts the kids. It hurts the wife. You know what I mean? So let these people be who they want to be. Like, let them do that. But just don't be every study, every article, every children's book, every classroom. You trying to just lead the discussion. That's where the problem comes in. It just statistically, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It makes no sense, which makes me think it has to be more to this. It has to be something behind it or whatever. So that's my thing. Y'all remember the guy that came out? The guy that came out and he was like, what he say? I ain't gay no more. So I like women, or so he said. Y'all remember? And a video went viral. I don't like men's no more. I'm delivered. That's what he said. Something like that. Andrew Caldwell. And it went viral. Everybody was talking about it. And he was talking about, how he's delivered from homosexuality and this and the other. Okay, cool. I mean, that might be so. I don't know him. I can't speak on anybody's like personal experience or what they're feeling. But I will say this. Me and my mom had a discussion about it. And she was like, Rhonda, what do you think about it? She was like, do you think you can date a guy that's been like delivered, from homosexuality or this and the other? And my mom is like straight up like Christian, like straight and narrow. And I was like, Mom, no. Like, I just personally, you know what I mean? Just because of mentally how I would be, like, I just wouldn't be able to do it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to, like, mentally. And I was like, what about you? Well, if God delivered him, and he's saved, then I think, he's renewed. So, I mean, I just wouldn't have a problem with it. I want to say, Mama, stop lying. But, in the South, we can't say that. I would have got slapped in my mouth as old as I am. Girl, what you say to me? You call me a what? Man. Mama, I'm grown. You can't hit me, lady. I ain't now hit back. Oh, like, man, Mama, come on, man, now. I know that sound like the, Christian thing to say. You know what I'm saying? I get it. And I feel like some women, they'd be like, God saved this person, blah, blah, they were delivered. And I've heard stories like that before. I have. You know what I'm saying? I have heard stories like that. People have gone on to have wonderful families. And like I said, I can't speak on anybody's personal experience. Everybody's experience is different or whatever, as far as like if it worked for them or whatever the case may be. But no, I couldn't. No, I want you to, you know what I'm saying? Live in your truth, be happy, do what you need to do, or be with a woman who can, mentally handle that or is cool with it or whatever. But this whole, you know, because it'd be a lot of people that be coming out, oh, you know, Black women, how do y'all support that? Blah, 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 da, 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 da. But at the end of the day, it's Black women that are going to be dating in the pool of dating these men. You know what I mean? So you can't, it just, that don't make sense either. No, heck no. But, I don't know, man. I just, but anyway. So, y'all. Yes, Southern mamas do snatch souls. For sure. That's definitely true. But all right, y'all. So that's all I had to say for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I just wanted to talk about that. Thank y'all so much for the people who super chatted. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all for always rocking with me every Tuesday. Make sure y'all give this video a thumbs up so it'll get out. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.